Thank you for your patience. I'm excited to offer this first webinar. If you can go ahead and mute yourself if you're not talking at the moment, but we will do a lot of interaction. I'm excited to offer this first version of our webinar on teaching and learning with Copilot, specifically a more kind of cautious but inclusive or positive approach to guidance and guardrails for teaching and learning with Copilot, our generative AI tool now here at VSU. And I wanted to start the webinar off. All of you who've done workshops with me know we're going to do a lot of interaction with a question that Cherie and Shay and Jawai and a couple people have started answering already in the chat. So you see my question is, start to list your ethical standards for teaching and learning with generative AI. Right? Before we approach any AI tool, we want to be clear on what are some of our values of ethics. And you may not even yet know how you would apply them to AI, but go ahead and articulate those for yourself, right? Do you care about academic integrity? And if you do, then attribution and copyright would be one of your ethical values, right? And if you say something like honesty, what do you mean by that, right? What does that mean, right? How does someone demonstrate their honesty? Do you care about non-discrimination? Do you care about the environmental impact of AI? I actually have a link here, if I can find it again, to an NPR article about how AI is actually contributing to climate change. I think someone needs to turn off their mic. Unfortunately, let me see if I can go through. Kelly, I think it might be you. Great. Or no, maybe Sophia here. I'm going to go ahead and mute you for the moment. And that, yeah, Melissa, that's okay. Right now, yet you may not know yet how you want to apply this to AI, and that's okay. But we're gonna talk about that today. So at least pick one that you care about, right? One that you would like to at least try to uphold as we use Copilot, right? So I'm not saying that probably all of us care about climate change, but maybe that's not front and center for you right now. If you're really all about academic honesty and integrity, then probably attribution and copyright is your main one at the moment. I have feminism and humanism up here. A lot of people care that even as we use AI and technology, that we still center the human, right? That the human and our brains and our bodies still matter so much. And feminism is a very grand ideology, but one about empowering voices, right? So if that's one of your ethics, then we're going to ask today, how can you use AI to empower voices in the classroom, right? Maybe your discipline, your profession, like business, like Elwan and a couple of you from the business college, right? What's the standard of your discipline? What's your discipline's approach to AI, right? How can we make money off of AI, right? Maybe not, right? How do we use it for business efficiency, right? Would that be a standard that we would uphold? So yeah, data accuracy, good. Yeah, Ellen, definitely in accounting, right? We want our numbers to be correct if we're going to base a lot of financial decisions on them. Right? So I wanted to start today, and those of you who are in an FLC with me this fall, we did this where we started our FLC really thinking about what are our ethical standards, because we have to start there as we adopt any technology, but especially AI that is going to challenge some of those ethical standards. And at VSU, we have some policies, right, that oversee academic integrity or information privacy or even non-discrimination. I added to the chat before you all got in that the U.S. Department of Education now has guidelines for not discriminating with AI, right? So we do have federal, national, and institutional-wide policies for some of these things, but you might have also some additional ethical standards or ones that you want to put front and center. And so start there, because that'll help you then narrow how you want to allow the use in your classroom. And we want to be responsible and ethical in how then we approach using it with our students. Okay. So keep these ideas that you wrote front and center as we go through today. Okay. I hope you have those written in your notes because they are going to be some of the guidelines and the guardrails for using AI today, or using AI in general, but what we're going to talk about today. So our outcomes for today, we're going to articulate ethical standards for teaching and learning with AI. Even Melissa was like, I hadn't even thought about applying these to AI. Well, that was hopefully something new, right? To think about the environmental impact of AI. We're going to compare features of Microsoft's Copilot generative AI tool to ChatGPT, which is, the one that gets the most press. Specifically talk about the privacy and security features. We're going to implement some best practices for teaching ethically with AI. And I know some of you are already doing this, like Michelle and Zhao Ai, and I'm sure others of you, right? So ideas like transparency, reflection, and AI literacy, we're going to talk about those. And then you're actually going to end today's webinar by drafting a syllabus statement that clarifies how you would ethically authorize the use of Copilot in your class and some of the allowable AI uses. So that's why already having a list of what might be some of your ethics will become then that's a good question, Melissa. Then what's a nihilistic approach to ethics, right? If there is no ethic for AI, then how are you going to authorize it or not in your classroom? So I want to start with talking about some features of Microsoft Copilot. And I'm not going to talk too much today about generative AI. I hope you already kind of know in general what that is. Copilot is a generative AI tool just like ChatGPT. It creates images, it creates text out, excuse me, out of what are called large language models, which is basically the narratives and the text that we have out on the internet that have been created by humans, or in some sense, non-humans. Um, and Copilot and ChatGPT function very similarly. But now that VSU has encouraged us or told us that we have access to the free version of Copilot, I wanted us to compare some of the features because maybe some of you have gotten used to using ChatGPT or some other Gen AI tools, and now maybe you want to switch to Copilot and think about it. So the first big difference between, again, our free version of Copilot, so there are other kinds of Copilots that VSU would have to pay more for. Those would be more a higher license that we are not yet paying for as an institution. And those would integrate in all of our systems. That is not the version of Copilot we're talking about today. I don't know if VSU will pay for it in the future, but right now we're talking about their very basic free version of Copilot that IT made the announcement about a month ago. And one great thing about Copilot and compared to the free version of ChatGPT is that it has enterprise data protection. So you see my little icon, that's a screen grab from when you get in there. You'll see this little green shield, and that tells you that it's in our enterprise data protection package per se. And so some of you might say, well, what is that? I'm going to flip to this slide here right now and tell you. So enterprise data protection means your data is not used to train the model. That is very different from ChatGPT. ChatGPT, all the data you put in there is then training the model, and it's open to everyone else to then have access to, right? Whereas Copilot does not do that. It doesn't train the model. Your data is secure, your data is private, and it's protected under our normal Microsoft security risks. So that means your prompts and your responses are not saved anywhere else in the metaverse, right? In the cloud per se. Microsoft is not reading the data that you're putting in there, right? They're not using it to train their model. Also, copyright. As a result, Microsoft's policies on copyright also abide or go over or Copilot abides by Microsoft's copyright laws. So that means that anything you're generating, you're not violating copyright. So I'm going to go back to the slide. That is one major difference between Copilot and the free version of ChatGPT. So Melissa, if we went back to several people put on here that if they cared about copyright or they cared about honesty or they cared about censorship or things like that, then if you're going to choose ChatGPT over Copilot to align with your ethic, you'd probably want to choose Copilot. Now, several of you also mentioned attribution. And even Lisa and I were talking about plagiarism before you guys got on, right? That's going to be the thing related to footnotes. And by the way, I will show you a demo. We'll get into Copilot and you'll be able to see all these things in a second. But Microsoft Copilot automatically, when you ask it to generate text, gives you footnotes. Okay, so you're going to see little footnotes that you can click on, and then it brings you to the website. So again, if one of your ethics is that you care about citations, right, attributions, then Copilot will do that for you. Now, ChatGPT will give you footnotes if you ask for them now. Now, way back when, like the version a year ago, it didn't do that, but now it does. But you're going to see Copilot automatically gives you footnotes. Okay, so that if that's one of your ethics, maybe that would be, and something you want to teach students about, a preferred thing. Prompts. What I mean by prompts is that Copilot, when you enter your data, it automatically then suggests additional prompts to you. So it almost gives you, it prompts you with prompts. Does that make sense? So Copilot's a little bit more ahead in wondering what you want to know next. ChatGPT, you can ask it to give you prompts, and it will, but Copilot will do that automatically. So again, I'll show you. So again, that I don't know if that aligns with an ethic, but that's another interesting feature. Again, I'll show you all these in a second. Another feature that Copilot has is exporting options. So you can copy and paste the text. You can edit it in Pages, which is almost like a version of like Microsoft Word, and I'll show you how to do that. And you can also share what you create as a OneDrive link. So now, if and when, or if you ever paid for the full Copilot license or VSU did, think about that. Ultimately, it's all going to end up in our OneDrive, right? You can see how the integration would ultimately really make even those things more seamless. But right now, you can still share what you create as a OneDrive link in Pages and copy, and I'll show you that in a second. ChatGPT right now, the way you export stuff is you download it as a zip file, and then they have like a public link that you could share to your chat. Now, these are all important for, again, later, we're going to talk about, several of you said you cared about data accuracy. Several of you cared about, like I'm looking back at your list, like, or honesty, critical thinking, verification, transparency. We're going to talk that if you care about those things with your students, then you're going to want them to provide, right, these particular exports of their thinking, right, of their transcripts, of their data, of the steps in which they use ChatGPT. So again, export options are going to matter to how you decide you want your students to be transparent with how they're using AI. Same with chat history. Both of them have chat history. Now, interesting, and I'll show you in a second, when Copilot first started, it didn't keep the chat history, but now it does. So, you know, these tools are going to change, and they're going to probably try to continue to compete with each other. Copilot has this cool notebook and panel view that ChatGPT doesn't, and I'll show you that in a bit, which I find helpful. And then in the beginning, I don't remember, maybe Michelle would know. I know, Michelle, you've been using ChatGPT really early, but I don't remember the free version of ChatGPT doing images in the beginning, but now it can. Whereas Copilot, when it first came out, already did images. So, and today I'm going to show you how to create images in it. By the way, there's a lot more features, but these were some of the main ones that when I kind of compared the two tools and thought about how, it did through Dolly. Okay. Then these were kind of ones that came front and center. And when I was also kind of looking through how they marketed their tools. But again, keep in mind that this free version of Microsoft Copilot does not integrate with all of our tools. It's not in BlazeView. It's not in Outlook yet. It's still kind of its isolated little app, which I'll show you how to use in a second. Someone mentioned this earlier, and maybe Melissa, this is why you think it's not ethically possible to use AI, but that AI, someone had something in here about lying, or I'm looking in your quote. Someone had in here, oh, biased information. Lisa, you wrote about biased information. Someone else also wrote, oh, inaccurate information. So Copilot, just like ChatGPT, has known issues, and this is literally in the marketing literature for Microsoft. Okay, so they're not even denying it, right? That they can have inaccurate information, hallucinations, and bias to them. And inaccurate information and bias comes from just that they're culling information from the web, from the World Wide Web, from the internet. And our information on the internet has inaccurate information and human biases to it. Right. And then the hallucinations, which a lot of people have probably heard about, is where then it actually starts to lie to you. Like it starts taking on its own character and telling things that really don't even exist on the internet. And so Copilot can do that just like ChatGPT. So those, yeah, I'm gonna show you in 1 second, Melissa. Just about to go there. But I wanted everyone to have their ethics and their understandings of the device before we went into using it. So does anyone have initial questions about some of these main features and some of the ethical conversation before we now get into the demo? Okay. So this is going to be fun. So, okay, so we are going to demo now. Let me stop sharing. And here we go, stop sharing. Because now what I'm going to do is share my screen instead. Okay, you guys should see my beautiful purple screen here. And by the way, now when I share my screen, if you've ever shared in Teams before, I can't see the chat as well. So now you guys are looking at my email. Please, if someone could unmute and just tell me that this is what you see right now. Do you see my email?
Yes.
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 Yay, okay. And look, everyone gets to see. L1 was like, where's the link? Okay, so here's how the quickest way to get to the app, okay? And I'm gonna actually, let me put in the chat also. See, I had this, you're looking at my links right now. I'm gonna give you the link to, well, let me go back. I'm gonna put this in the chat. Sorry, guys. Okay, this is IT's, oh wait, I'm looking at you guys. See, now I don't know where my screen is. Okay, I'll do it afterwards. I was trying to give you IT's website on Copilot, but I will put it in the chat afterwards because now I can't figure out how to get to that chat. So you're looking at my email. So this is exactly what you guys want to do. Let's say you sign into my VSU and then you sign into your email. Okay, your email might look a little different if you're using your computer, like the desktop, than the web app, but this is generally when I go into my email. You want to go up to your left-hand corner. See, there's this like 9 little dot thing, and it says App Launcher, and that's where all your apps are. And you click on More App, and then Copilot will be the first app. Okay. So I want to make sure. So you will be in your email. Go find that 9 little dots, click on it, find the app for Copilot, click on it, and there you are. So I want to make sure that we're in the right place. So Jawai, can you see my Copilot Everyday AI Companion screen in front of us?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So I'm going to now do a quick demo of the different features that I told you guys about. And then I'm going to have time for you guys to play around a bit, and then we have kind of an application activity. So this is what it looks like. Now look up here in the right-hand corner. There's the shield, right? There's the enterprise data collection, data protection. So that's if you know you're signed in through your MyVS email. If you don't see that, then that means somehow you've gotten in and you're not signed in through your email. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you now, let's see. So that's the data price inner protection. Now I'm going to show you the chat history. Okay, so remember I said one feature was the chat history. Well, look on the right. These are previous chats that I asked it to create. Look, I asked it to compare, let me scroll. I asked it to compare Copilot to ChatGPT. About a week ago when I started planning the webinar, I was like, I'd be very curious what it says, right? And actually, it was pretty generic, which we're going to talk about. But you can go back to your chat history and there's even dates on here again. So start thinking about how, if you care about your students showing you their chat history, how they could provide this data to you. So there's my chat history. So that was on 12, looked like 12/4 I did that. And then look, here's an example of the footnotes. So remember I said Copilot has footnotes? Well, there we go. I just clicked on one of the footnotes. So you can see what sources it's pulling from. This looks like some kind of technology website, right? And let's see, but now you're going to notice it likes to pull from the same website, right? It's not a very nuanced synthesis. Let's see if it keeps pulling from the same website. Ah, look. So we're already kind of seeing it has its footnotes, but it keeps pulling from the same source, which then adds, as we know, to bias, right? Okay, prompts. I told you guys that ChatGPT can tell you, oh, I was asking to generate images. Sorry, I want to find one where, let's see. Okay, actually, Lisa, this is when I was doing your teaching observation. I was playing around with whether Copilot could do a good nursing prompt for your class. So Copilot, if you ask it for prompts, it will then give you additional prompts to suggest. So I had asked it, I said, propose a case study for a nursing student to determine whether to diagnose a patient as having a heart attack, right? So then it suggested this. Now, let's say, let me do something. Change this case study to include an elderly patient. Well, I guess it was a patient in their 90s. And add some other factors. I'm doing this for a reason. I'll tell you guys in a second. I want it to suggest more prompts. This is what I'm trying to get it. Oh, now it's not doing it. Oh, there we go. Okay. See how on the bottom, it now prompted me with more prompts. It said, oh, do you want to add more symptoms related to the age? Oh, do you want to include potential complications for elderly patients? So remember I told you that one of the unique features of Copilot was it gave you prompts, like it prompted you with new prompts. ChatGPT will do that, but only if you ask it. So look, I could say, okay, I need now potential complications for elderly patients. And then it'll kind of continue to refine that case study. So far I've showed you guys the enterprise data protection, the footnotes, the prompts. Now I'm going to show you how to the export options. Okay, so remember I mentioned that Copilot can export into Pages and a OneDrive link and copy it. So it's pretty clear right here. If I clicked this, excuse me, I would click copy, and then I could open up a Microsoft Word document and you could paste it in. So let me go ahead and do that right now for you guys. So there we go. Right? So that's a pretty typical kind of copy and paste. However, you could also say, I want to edit in Pages, and it opens up, and this is the panel, the notebook panel view that I was telling you about. So ChatGPT doesn't have this. I don't know if you pay for ChatGPT, it may have it. So it has a little, it's almost like a mini version of Microsoft Word that they call Pages. And so look, I could add I could edit here, right? I could be like Mary Smith from South Georgia. So what you're seeing here is you're seeing an export option, again, that ChatGPT doesn't have. And you can edit here. And then up here is where you would click to share the OneDrive link. So I think this is, yeah. So this, then you get your little SharePoint OneDrive link. Now I haven't tried, then when I open that up, again, because this isn't integrated fully in Microsoft 365, I think I would then have to create a setting to like give you guys access to it. But that's kind of another kind of cool option because this is owned by Microsoft, whereas ChatGPT is external to this software. I know I'm going fast because I'm going to open it up for questions and for y'all to play around. So I've now and export options, images. So I don't know if Gia's in here because I didn't see, but let me go back to images because Gia and I were talking. How do I get to my chat history? Close page. Let's see. Okay, there we go. So Gia and I were talking about images, how Copilot creates images. And Gia was saying she couldn't figure out how to download the image. And it is a little quirky. So I want to show you guys how to download the image. So here's an example. I'm going to have you guys do this in a bit. I asked Copilot, this was like yesterday, to create an image of a university professor. And similar, right, to text, see, it creates the image, gives you prompts. I've got my chat history. If you wanted to and it's not copyrighted, remember, that's the other thing. So you could literally use this image in a flyer, right? Or in your class, and you wouldn't be violating copyright. So, but if you wanted to take it, you need to click on the image. And for some reason, Gia, again, I don't know if she's here, but when you click download, it wasn't working on my computer or Gia's computer. Like it said it downloaded, but then I couldn't find it in my downloads. And I looked online and a lot of people were having that issues. So what I did instead was say add to pages, and look, again, it's added in this panel on the right-hand side. And then you could download and share from there, just like we did with the text. You could also literally select this image, just like I'm doing right now, and I'm pressing copy, and then go to a Word document and paste it in. See that? So Gia, it just for whatever reason, I don't know what's going on with their download link. And similar to this, you could continue to edit it, right? You could say, it says, well, change the time of day. That's really make the students more diverse, right? Let's follow that prompt. Let's see what they think categorizes diversity, right? So it's going to generate, and they've always have this warning about AI generated content being incorrect, which I appreciate from an ethical standpoint. The images, for some reason, do take a little bit longer to come through. So there we go. That was its analytical thoughts on creating a more diverse student population in the background. Okay, that was a lot. What I want to do now is you guys to go in. Let's see, we've got probably about 5 minutes for you to go in now and play around a bit with the tool. But what I actually recommend is you do a prompt like I did, which is create an image of a university professor and see if you can export the image, see if you can change the prompts around. Play with it a bit, or maybe ask ChatGPT in text just to describe a university professor. And I'm asking this particular prompt because I think it reveals, right, some of ChatGPT, Copilot's, excuse me, biases, maybe inaccuracies. So everyone go ahead, take about 5 minutes to play around. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And so the rest of you, if you want to ask me some questions while other people are playing, I'm here. But right now, oh, Gia is there. Right now, I want you to have playtime, but please pop in the chat a question that comes up while you play a bit. and then we'll come back as a group around 1:40 or so. Keep playing around because when we come back, oh, awesome. Okay. So, because then we're going to do some more application to assignments and syllabi. So Xiaoai says she was able to download it and found it in her MacBook Pro. Okay, so you found where the download was. So for whatever reason, maybe it's a privacy setting I have on my downloads then, maybe with Gia too. Sophia, um, Sophia shared her image of a sixth grade math female teacher in a casual outfit. Good, right? So you refined that with prompts, or did it suggest some of those prompts, Sophia? Michelle, that's great. Michelle shared some new research on AI that they're actually trying to address the bias. That's really helpful, right? Just like it's humans, right? We're always trying to be more conscious and correct our biases in our languages. I liked using the asking Copilot to create an image of a university professor or describe one because I don't know about you guys, but every time I watch a movie about a professor, it's always a male wearing the coat with those little pads on the elbows, right? And he has gray hair and he's usually a white man. And, it's very like there's a clear stereotype of what a university professor should look like. And so I liked kind of prompting AI for this and seeing how we can refine it and learn from it. Okay, Gia, good. So Gia says she's now able to download it. Great. Oh, Jiao Ai. Nice. Nice. Oh, a cartoon. Nice, nice change in word, right? In your prompt. Yeah, and adding a cultural signifier. Interesting. Did anybody ask Copilot about describing a professor and then look at their footnotes? I'd be very curious what footnotes they give for their descriptions of a university professor, right? Excuse me. Okay, start wrapping up your play, your demoing, because now, and you will, I know, want to just have more time in there, and you will after today. But I want to bring us now back because, and remind us kind of what we've done so far. Okay. So we talked about some of our ethical standards. And we're still not sure yet, right, how to apply those, but that's okay. We started there. Then we demoed a bit, and I kind of showed you some different features that might align with your ethical standards or help you. Now I'm going to, in a bit, move into now some assignment ideas that could align with some of those ethical standards. But before we do that, I wanted to share some, I got to pull up my PowerPoint again. I wanted to share some provocative quotes, kind of like Michelle was sharing, of some more recent research on like what the leaders are saying right now. Let me move forward to the quotes that I want to get to. Um, and I hope you guys can see now my screen. Um, I don't like when it shows the presenter. There we go. Okay, so I want to share some quotes to keep in mind again before we get into now assignments. Shantanu, I don't know if it needs to be in a specific file format, but that's why I was playing with the different download options. Um, so let's turn our mind to some of these quotes. So this Teaching with AI book is one of the first big books that's now come out on how to teach with AI. If you'd like a copy or to read one, we have one in CELT for you to borrow. Our library may actually have a digital copy now. We're reading these in our different FLCs. So I've gone through it. I find some chapters, some parts more helpful than others. And I pulled out a couple quotes from Bowen and Watson. Bowen is a former university professor, and Eddie Watson is like the head of digital innovation for the AAC&U, and they're running this institute that a number of us are going through right now. And so at the Institute, they've been sharing their insights, but so have some other speakers. And there was a plenary speaker, this little starburst in the middle, who said, you know, a lot of people are kind of freaking out about AI, right? They're either very worried about it or in the good way, they're like, whoa, there's so much this could do. And he says that let's leverage that and how higher ed could actually then help our world that is sort of in the crisis moment right now with AI to provide quality control. So, and he's actually saying that's even a reason not to resist AI. This is really, he's saying this is the responsibility of academics. Figure out your guardrails and guidelines, your ethical standards, and how you want to use it. And then we'll be the experts in our fields on providing that quality control. So I really appreciate his quote because it framed then these other quotes that Eddie Watson and Jose Bowen said, which is that they're really saying that faculty were trying to create these sort of AI-proof writing assignments, and they're like, it's not possible because AI can do C-level work. And y'all are seeing this, I'm sure, in your students, right? Let's start with that assumption. Now, everyone's saying AI can do C-level text generation and image creation and coding even, right? And and also let's put aside even if it's possible to catch the cheating. So let's start with the assumption that AI can do A-level work. So then what does that mean for how we're teaching our students? That means we need to teach our students, we need to up our standards, right? We need to raise the bar that in fact our students now need to add value to the C-level work of AI, right? And that's what our grading and our assignments now need to help students do, right? What's the human value now added to what AI could do, or in providing quality control, countering, critiquing, fact checking AI. And Bowen and Watson even make the argument, I'm throwing this out there, I don't know what any of you are going to think. You may just put it back there and think about that they think we should actually get rid of now eliminating points on our rubric for grammar and outlining. And Cherie, I thought of you and me as people who teach writing, and I'm like, oh, no, I'm not ready to do that. But I get their argument. They're basically saying that AI can do grammar and writing and outlining really well. So the parts of our rubric need to be all these higher orders of blooms. So Cherie, I saw your hand up. Do you have a first thought about that? Or,
I didn't mean to raise my hand. I meant to like send
oh,
a smiley face or something that I agreed. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, when they really say that, it makes you like, okay, like it ups the standards for us as faculty. So I'm throwing that out there. We are not going to solve that problem today, but I wanted these provocative ideas to influence us as we start to now think of our ethical standards, Copilot, and what kinds of writing, just some early assignments we might do to address these things. Um, so here are generally some theme ways to think about assignments. And actually, I know that Michelle and Jawai are doing these already. So a lot of the literature on teaching with AI is now talking about transparency, reflection, and this big category called AI literacy. And by the way, you might argue that transparency and reflection are like subcategories of AI literacy, right? That this is all kind of underneath it. So today I'm just sharing sort of these three concepts with you, and then in the subpoints are how you could do them in your class, okay? So everyone's sort of arguing if your one of your ethics, right, is about citations, footnoting, attributions, copywriting, then people are arguing you should be with your students very transparent and open, encourage the open disclosure of Copilot as an authorized device and certain uses. And then as a result, you could require students to submit their chat history, to submit their track changes or their version history, to submit the screenshots and the page, the download, the exports, to cite AI. And I'm gonna, let me get another, I gotta go back to my list here. APA, MLA, and Chicago have all put out, even their own citation styles for AI. So if transparency is very important to you, I think Melissa here, you're saying it definitely is, then what if you're going to have as an ethic, then you want to be very transparent in your syllabus, in your science, in your assignments, open disclosure of using Copilot and how to use it. And then you would outline for your students exactly like, I want you to submit this. I want you to use citations. I want you to fact check their footnotes, things like that. So Melissa, it should have just added sources and little footnotes that you clicked on when you generated it. I remember when I demoed it. So I'll have to get back to that in a bit. I just want to make sure I get through other points in a second. So think about that again. If you go back to your ethic and one of your ethics was attribution and copyright, then you really want to focus on transparency and how you might do that in your assignments with your students in using AI. Have open disclosure of how they're using it, and you give them the guidelines, exactly the uses that you allow for it. Another best practice is reflecting on their AI use. And Joe, I actually just sent out a tip today through the listserv to the faculty listserv. And I encourage you to watch her video, and Michelle's was yesterday, about reflection. And she has a great example of how she requires students, when they're using AI, to then reflect to her in an online discussion board about their AI use. And online, I found this great template. Let me give the link to this. A professor, and he had a column in the Chronicle of Higher Ed. He has these great prompts for reflecting on AI and a little template that he uses. I'm putting it in the chat. It's called the AI Assisted Learning Template. And he says, have your students literally label and discuss how they're using AI. So did they use AI for idea generation? Did they use it to gather research? Did they use it to edit? And then if you scroll to the end of his document, he gives you question prompts for them. So he says, ask them to reflect on what was tricky about using AI, right? What roadblocks did I hit when using AI? Am I concerned about the using AI? So you could do reflections in discussion boards. You could do it aloud in class. You could have them submit a reflection paper on it. So there's a lot of good prompts, like which of your skills got a real workout from using AI? I thought that was a really cool question prompt, right? How did I improve after using AI? I like to think of these almost like letters to the editor that we write when we revise manuscripts, right? And we send them back for revision to our editor, and we have to describe our choices to our editor. Similar, have the students reflect on how they're using AI, and that similarly will give you transparency and evidence for if they're using it appropriately, things like that. And ultimately, a lot of people are talking about this as AI literacy, that as faculty, we should start, right, again, as part of the quality control, helping our students with AI literacy. And that means we need to learn it as well. Now, our librarians here at VSU, I know Catherine Bowers, I'm not sure if she was able to make it today, but she's starting to kind of think about, could they add AI literacy to some of their library instruction sessions that they offer faculty and classes, right? So you could invite a librarian to come in and talk about AI literacy in your class, and have conversations with your students about that. I have a couple examples, though, of how you could also help students practice AI literacy in your class. And these are, again, little writing assignments. Let me pull up, and I gave them labels here on the slide. So the first one, and actually Cherie and Joai, you may recognize these because we talked about these in our FLC, but I'm going to see if I can copy my notes and that'll be quicker here in the chat, and then I'll describe them. Let's see if this will copy and paste. Nope, that didn't work. Okay, I'm going to have to describe this. So I'll describe them real quick then. The fact check. So that's an example of, let me go back to my notes, where you provide students with an AI generated essay on a topic that you've covered in class, and then you ask students to fact check it, verify the references, and annotate the essay. Okay, so Melissa, that would be an example where earlier you were very concerned about the sources and the footnoting. So you could have students like use AI to answer a question that you've given them, and then their assignment in class for AI literacy is how to fact check it, right? How to find the sources. And what they're going to discover, which is what we discovered, right, is the sources are limited, they could be biased, they're not maybe original research, and things like that. So actually have students do a fact check, quick little mini assignment on an AI generated text that is responding to one of your question prompts for your class. The compare is an example, and actually this, from those of you who are in the FLC, this is an example of like what Teresa Grove was doing in science. So Teresa Grove is having students write their own response to the theory of evolution and creation, like the differences between evolution and creationism, and if they're scientific theories. And then she's having AI answer that question and have students compare them. So again, she's saying having students take AI's generated response to whether or not creationism is a theory of evolution or some kind of question like that. And then she's having them write their own response, and they're having to have a discussion and a debate about those two. So again, comparing AI's answer to the knowledge that the more nuanced, detailed, factual, in many cases, knowledge you're teaching them in your class. And remember, we're going to go about 6 minutes over because we started a little late. So, and then the third example there of grading AI. So I actually did this with my class last semester. Have students generate an essay from one of your assignment prompts in Copilot, and then have them use your grading rubric to grade it. So they will grade the AI generated answer. And what happens is, what grade does AI usually get? Who remembers? What grade usually will AI get? A B, usually a C, sometimes a B. It depends how weighted my rubric was on grammar and organization. Right? So have students use your rubric to grade AI, and they're going to now see that AI gets about a CB range. And so then you have a conversation with them about what's the value added, right? What is the value added of what we learn in this class, and the nuance and the knowledge and the ideas and all that kind of stuff. And so I had students do that with a speech. They had AI generate a speech, and then they graded it with our speech rubric. And then we moved into how they will write A-level AI generated collaborated speeches. So that's the way to elevate students like Bowen and Watson were saying beyond the C grade. Then they can see AI does it at this level. How then me as the speechwriter writing with AI, how could I get to, and I don't want to just be about grades, but write about a more nuanced, advanced level speech. So, okay. Any initial questions, thoughts about these sort of 3 areas of ethical teaching and learning assignments for generative AI? Any of them were unclear. You guys got it? Okay, so here's now what we're going to do. Oh, Gia, do you have a question? Got it? Yeah, cool. Okay. Let's see, Gia may have a question. Because now we're going to all wrap it up and apply it. Oh, wait, we'll see. Okay. Here's what we're going to now do. So we're going to go back to some of your ethics. I'm assuming many of you at least want to uphold academic honesty, academic integrity, right? The copyright, the attribution, the transparency. And I'm going to ask all of you now to do your quick Google search for a sample syllabus statement on allowable AI use. Because if you remember, a best practice for teaching with AI ethically is that you are transparent and clear with students about they can use Copilot and here's how they can use it and the guidelines and the guardrails. So what I'm asking all of you to do just for a couple minutes is literally Google right now, syllabus statement allowable AI use. Find one, just pick the first one that pops up, okay? Then I want you to revise it, like revise it for how you might revise it so that it clarifies Copilot as an allowable device. And maybe you want to change some of the language because now in this webinar you've learned, oh, I want to allow them to edit it, right? And so they would have to submit their chat history. Or I want them to export it in an image and then show me their prompts, right? So what kind of allowable uses might you have? This is just initial thinking. And as you figure that out, then I'd love y'all to start sharing them in the chat. And in the last few minutes, we're going to kind of talk about them and compare and see what we like about each other's statements. I think Michelle and Michelle, I may still already have a syllabus statement from their syllabi. So if you do, then I would encourage you to maybe use your existing one and refine it a bit from something you learned in this webinar today. So is there something you could add to it? Or would you change? And then you could share that in the chat with us too. So you guys got it? So we're going to be here for another 6 or so minutes.
6 minutes. We're using AI. Give us 60 seconds. I'm done.
Exactly, right? Yeah. Shoot, you could ask Copilot to create your syllabus statement if you want.
There it is. You're looking at it.
Okay. Okay. So L1, we'll sit with yours for a second while other people.
It's so crazy. I was telling my students that I spent 2.5, almost 3 months to code for that Garch model for my doctoral dissertation back in the day. ChatGPT did it in less than a minute. I almost cried, and it did it accurately.
Yeah. Well, and what I want to make sure though, Elwan, while people are posting, would you change anything of that though? So for instance, the one you posted says they can use any of the applications. Are you okay with that? Do you just want to have them use Copilots and based on an ethic?
I already changed the last sentence and I said it is going to be specified per assignment, because there are some assignments it's more in my courses it is better for them to use the free version of the ChatGPT because Copilot is not ready for that yet.
Okay.
And then there are some data inputs that ChatGPT is just plain old stupid. It just lies. Instead of saying I don't know, and Copilot is awesome. So that's why I already changed that, saying that it will be each assignment will be handled on its own.
Got it. Okay, I get it. Thank you for clarifying. Okay.
Mine is from University of Wisconsin-Madison, by the way, from their CELT.
Awesome. Yeah, there are some great ones, and I'm going to share at the very end with all of you. I didn't want to give it to you now, a repository of like hundreds of syllabus statements, but I didn't want to give, I wanted y'all to find some
Cool.
first.
That's awesome.
So that a lot of teaching centers have collected. So what I love about Lisa's is, Lisa, you pulled out some of the ethical, I love that, some of the ethical statements at the beginning, right? Which we talked about with privacy and security. We talked about academic integrity. So like you, and that may have been one you found online, but you could now cater that a little more to the list we started with in the beginning, and which ones really is that. Lisa, do you like that about the one you found?
Yeah, I like it because it actually pulled up a lot of the information we just discussed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And y'all start reading through each other's and make any comments, like reply to each other's, things that, some strengths that you like about some people's statements, or ask them a question. It doesn't have to be just me chatting. I know there's a lot we're reading right now, but those of you who have finished, maybe Elon and Lisa, if you could look at some others and, reply with a feedback. So Java in this course. So, okay, Jawai, I have a question about your sentence here. However, you may not submit any work generated by Copilot as your own. This is a violation of academic integrity. So, not necessarily if they attribute it.
The point is they submit as their own without attributed.
Okay, so you may want to add that to your sentence.
Okay.
That's kind of what I'm saying. So, and that's the big reason I spent a lot of time talking about, let me go back, that first transparency. If they openly disclose how they used AI, right? Are you okay with that, right? So like if they submit their changes, their chat history, they cite AI with APA, like that would not violate academic integrity because they're
Yes.
giving an attribution.
Yes, they didn't pretend that was their own work. Then that's okay.
Correct. So that's, see, and that's something a lot of faculty I've been talking to, I think we all got to be a little more clear on that, right?
Mhm.
If we're wanting to use AI, right, then own work is only if you're not disclosing the collaborative part of it, right? Cool. Okay, let's see Michelle's. Awesome. See, Michelle, loud and clear with transparency. Ooh, see, I love this. Michelle has immediately, they need to cite the tool. Awesome. Include screenshots. And y'all, Michelle went through an extra institute on how to teach and learning with AI. So I should have had you run this webinar, Michelle. Awesome. See, and then Joe, look, Michelle has a bullet point. Failure to disclose AI use will be considered academic dishonesty. So she has literally a bullet point that says what I was trying to say. So,
Yes.
awesome. Okay, awesome. I see Kelly's doing a lot of the citations and references. She even gave a model. That's awesome. Ooh, I love it. You guys are putting love, hearts next to each other's examples. Ooh, okay. So a lot of you put a thumbs up for Shay's, and I think I know why, but I'd love someone to say out loud. Why is Shay's getting a lot of thumbs up?
Different courses.
Yeah, I love that, Shay. I agree. Shay acknowledged, right, that other faculty will have different uses. And so I love that, Shay. That was an excellent. So maybe Michelle, right? You could even add that to yours now if you didn't have it there already. Awesome. Okay. I see Gia's doing similar to L1. Ooh, I love it. Gia's talking about how AI can be biased and inaccurate, right? Okay. Okay. Well, I think you guys have some great examples. Um, and I love how, and I'm going to flip back to some of the early slides here, right? We talked about attribution and copyright, privacy and security, bias. Maybe there's certain standards of your discipline, right? So you would want to add those in there if you didn't. We articulated those. We talked about privacy related to Copilot, how you can track and document and export their uses of it, but still warn about the inaccurate information and the hallucinations, copyright, and generally kind of upping our game, right? Which is the next step, right? That's the harder part, but I know many of you are getting into that. And these overall concepts of transparency, reflection, and AI literacy. I promised, I think I just told some of you that I was going to give you a link to a bunch of these. First of all, let me give you now the link. This is IT's website for Copilot. So they have a little tutorial on how to find the app, like I showed you guys, and IT will be offering some additional webinars. They have a couple links to some resources there. And they're going to do some trainings more though for the technical like staff side of it in the spring. So if you had more technical questions about Copilot, you'll have to ask Sheila Hall and place an IT ticket because they're the ones that kind of support this software. The other link that I said I would share with you guys, now I got to find it, is the collection of all the syllabus statements. This was being shared, let me find it. This was being shared by all the teaching center directors in the USG, but it's really huge. So, so I don't want to overwhelm you, but if you would like to see it, it's a massive Google Doc from syllabus policies around AI use. And just tons of universities, different professors, different teaching centers have added their examples. I really think you guys found some really good ones, but here's a massive repository of a bunch of them. So at the end of my slide, I have some of the references that I referred to today, the civil rights law about AI, IT's website, some of the books and the resources I pulled from. So I will share the this is one of those days. I literally hung up on all you guys. Oh, okay. So anyway, I will share the PowerPoint with all of you. I meant to click onto something else and I hung up on y'all. This was a wild ride of a webinar. And I'll have a recording of it. But this was the end of our webinar for today. Questions. Yes, I'm here if you want to ask more questions, if you need to head out. I will send around a feedback link for y'all to give suggestions for improvement. I know there are many from the first round today, but yes, Melissa, you have a question.
Yeah, I think maybe you misunderstood me before when I was asking about how to get it to cite sources. I'm saying I can't get it to cite sources. When I tell it to do footnotes, it gives me these explain the evidence. It does not actually give me any citation on the information that is generating. Can you show me how you got those
Sure.
little things to link on, the little squares?
Yeah.
How did that come up?
yeah, I didn't ask for them. So that was kind of what I was saying was a nice benefit. Let me share my screen and get in. That's what I was saying was kind of a nice benefit of Copilot from ChatGPT is you didn't have to ask for the citations. But
Well, I asked for it and I still didn't get it. So that's I'm in
yeah, that's
Copilot trying to
interesting.
get it to,
So let me go back. You can see my screen, right? I'm going back into let me try a new prompt because now it's wanting to take time loading. Of course, now it's thinking. I'll try a new prompt once this comes up. Okay, so still thinking. Let me close my email. Oh, hello. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Come on. I don't know if my internet is being weird. Now it doesn't want to load, of course. You still there, Melissa?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Of course now it doesn't. It's never done this before. Of course it's doing it right now. Have you tried another prompt and just tried while I'm waiting? Just ask another question, like
I've asked it many questions. It won't give me any
It won't give
citations
you
for
any
anything. And when I
footnotes.
ask it for a footnote, it gives me a restatement or like a sad
Yeah.
explanation of the thing that it previously tells me.
Yeah, I don't know
I
why.
suspect I am asking it too specific a thing, but I am trying to ask it the
No.
same things my students would ask it.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, of course now it doesn't want to work. Is anyone else? I see, Cherie, you're still on here. Was yours able to generate footnotes?
I just asked it a different question and it did produce footnotes, but it's only referencing one article, one source. Yeah.
Yeah.
On mine, I asked it specifically if there were any footnotes for the description, and it replied and said no, because it's a general overview based on common roles and responsibilities. So it told me it didn't have any when I asked it specifically.
Mm-hmm.
But if it said if I want to ask more detailed information, I can.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Melissa. My app it's not loading. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, mine, I don't know. Mine's always, sorry, it's just not loading right now. Mine always works. But I guess, yeah, I would can you try something really simple right now? Just ask it to give you, best practices for teaching and learning with AI. Just see right now. And I'll be curious if your app is working, if suddenly the app is